The tip I'm about to show you will completely change the way you think about and approach a low FODMAP diet. In fact, it's the fastest and easiest way to get started, and you don't even need a meal plan to follow. Now, I'm going to leave you hanging for a bit because I want to introduce myself. It would be rude not to. My name is Joe Leach. I'm a dietitian. I particularly focus and create content around gut health, IBS, and the low FODMAP diet. My website is dietversusdisease.org. If you want more information, you can always go there and use the search bar, and hopefully you find what you're looking for. Now, when people typically start this diet, they ask for a meal plan, and it makes sense because meal plans can be really useful, but they're not useful for all of us, particularly if you create meals for your partner, or you create meals for tiny humans in your house and you have a lot of kids to look after. Completely changing your eating pattern and what you eat each week is not really practical, and it's not ideal. So I tell people, well, why start a new meal plan when you don't have to? You don't have to reinvent the wheel. So what am I talking about? Let me show you. I tell people to simply modify what they already eat. Okay, hopefully you can read that. My writing is pretty messy. I promise that was as neat as I could do it. Tell them to modify what they already eat. So how do we do that? 3 steps. I'll just keep this as a pointer. So step 1, you list out ingredients of a few of the most common meals you have. So for example, you might eat, I don't know, spaghetti bolognese on one night, and some other nights you might have fish tacos. I don't know. I obviously didn't really plan that far ahead, but you think about some meals you already do and list out what the ingredients you have. Now step 2, how much of the ingredients are in your serving? So you want to think about that as well in terms of portions, because obviously portion sizes are important for the low FODMAP diet. Step number 3, use a low FODMAP list to swap out the high FODMAP ingredients in the foods you already eat and swap in low FODMAP alternatives. So when I say use a low FODMAP list, you can use the Monash University low FODMAP app in the App Store. I have a list which is based on what's been released in research papers. Now I realize people watching won't have that, but I can put that in the comments. For example, I have that on my website. You can get it for free. So a list of it's an eat this, not that list. Things you can't eat and things you can eat instead. So it's easy to swap. And so now all of a sudden you're making meals that you're just modifying meals that you already have, and you're making them low FODMAP rather than tossing all your favorites out and eating low FODMAP garden salads and things. So this is foods you already know you and your family like. You're just going to modify them slightly to be low FODMAP. So let's do an example, okay? An example of how you can modify what you already eat rather than going from scratch. So let's go with the spaghetti bolognese example. In Australia, we call it spag bol, or spag bog for short, spaghetti bolognese. I call it spag bol here. We'd love to hear what you call spaghetti bolognese for short. We shorten everything. So in spag bol, let's say you normally eat, spaghetti, regular spaghetti. You have, pasta sauce, like pre-made pasta sauce in a bottle. Hopefully you can read that and it's big enough. What else do we have? We don't just have sauce and pasta. We might have people might put some garlic and onion. For those playing at home, that's obviously high FODMAP. So we're going to have to remove that. What else? Oh yeah, maybe you have beef mince. It's kind of boring. Okay, mushroom as well. Yeah, now we're talking. So this is the normal meal that you eat with your family on Mondays or whatever, and you know, you like to take leftovers to work because it's super easy. So great. What's high FODMAP here? Well, this is where you whip out your list. Oh, and you know what portions you have in particular. So you might have 1 cup of spaghetti, 1 cup of sauce, like you can estimate. Now, you get out your list, and this is where we do the swaps. Now, I know lots of the lists in my head already, so I can cheat and do it quickly. So which ones are high FODMAP here? Spaghetti is. Spaghetti's got fructans in it because it's from wheat flour, just like bread. So high FODMAP. Pasta sauce. Yes and no, it depends on what's the ingredients in the pasta sauce, and 9 times out of 10, they're going to have garlic and or onion or something else high FODMAP in the ingredients. So you want to read the ingredients label and make sure you suss it out. But let's assume that that's high FODMAP. Starting to run out of foods here. Garlic and onion, well, we know that's high FODMAP. Beef mince. So FODMAPs they come from carbohydrates, so plant-based foods. So in terms of meat and fish and eggs, they are all good. They don't have any FODMAPs in them at all. That's fine. And mushroom, unfortunately, one of my favorite things in the world, at least in the elimination phase, it's a temporary phase. We're being strict. We're going to cut them out. So we need swaps for these, not beef mince, but for these ones. When you've got your FODMAP swaps list or using Monash University app, then this becomes really easy. So what can we swap them with? Gluten-free spaghetti. Not that gluten is a FODMAP. Gluten is not a FODMAP. It's a protein. But when gluten's taken out, the fructans in the wheat a lot of them are also removed. So you end up with gluten-free products are low FODMAP. To an extent, portion size matters, but you can have 1 cup of spaghetti cooked spaghetti, for example, whereas normal spaghetti would be high FODMAP. Pasta sauce. Okay, well, tomatoes, if you look on the list, tomatoes are low FODMAP. So we could instead just use tomato tinned tomatoes. Whole tomatoes or crushing, whatever. As long as the ingredients just says tomatoes, salt. That's what it's going to say. Maybe water. Low FODMAP. So that's the sauce. Garlic and onion. Yeah, we can use like spring onion, the green tops of they're kind of like chives. What else are they called? Shallots. We could use that, or you could use like a garlic infused oil. It's not a big deal really if we didn't have the garlic flavor. Let's just put garlic infused oil, olive oil, olive oil, beef mince, the same kind of mushroom, a low FODMAP alternative. I mean, there's types of mushroom you can have, but let's just say shredded carrot because I'm biased and that's what I do, and I think people should be eating more carrot because they're delicious. So, now you've got gluten-free spaghetti, which people can't even tell anyway, tinned tomatoes, garlic-infused olive oil, so maybe you'd cook the mince in that first and then add the tomatoes and the carrot and then put it on the spaghetti. And we've got carrot, mince is the same, we've got carrot instead of mushroom, and all of a sudden, you're still having spag bowl, good old spag bowl, but it's low FODMAP. And so when you serve it at home, your kids don't notice and your partner probably won't even notice either. Maybe they'll notice slightly with the spaghetti, but no one's going to be the wiser. And you'll still have some leftovers that you can take for lunch tomorrow, and that is low FODMAP. So think about that. You can do that with all your meals, really. So to recap, well, I won't rub it off. So to recap, you want to identify your most common meals, So sit down and write what they are. What are the ingredients that you use in those meals? So you can write them out. And then you want to swap them, the high FODMAP ingredients, for low FODMAP ones. Think about your portions as well. If you're eating a big gigantic bowl of gluten-free pasta, you might still get an upset tummy. So being sensible about that. Swapping those ingredients out, and there you have it. That's how you modify what you already have. And I think this is really the easiest way to get going. Of course, a meal plan can help if you want more ideas, but I tell people if they're cooking for others and they're busy and they've got, tiny humans to feed, this is the best way to go about it. That's all I got. If you enjoyed this, let me know in the comments. Hey, if you've got some ideas or questions, I'll try to reply to them all. More importantly, if you know someone who would really enjoy this video or find it useful, please tag them in the comments, or you can share the video, of course, that would be great as well. Speak soon.